again, whiskey lovers, and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. What you see here is part of my Auchentoshan collection. Being the Toshan man, I not only collect the official bottlings, but obviously also independent bottlings, because there's quite a few gems among those, as I've already explained in previous Whiskey Ramblings. My favorite, for example, is still this one from Douglas Laing, the old malt cask, a 33-year-old Auchentoshan distilled in 1967. An amazing dram. And speaking of Douglas Laing, that's what I would like to talk to you today about as well, because I have two new independent bottlings that I would like to discuss today. These two, and both are from the Douglas Laing stables. Now, whenever I'm able to try a new Auchentoshan bottling, it's a happy day for me, of course. And I'm often asked to host an Auchentoshan tasting. When I was last asked to do this, my good friend Chris Leggett, who used to work for Morrison Beaumont, but then married Carol Laing, and Carol Laing joined the company Douglas Laing, blah blah blah, lucky bastard. All I'm trying to say is that Chris saw the announcement of the Auchentoshan tasting on my Facebook page, and he said, "Hey Mark, we have a new Auchentoshan that we would like you to try, and maybe you can put it in that lineup of that Toshan tasting that you're hosting." It's this one that he sent me, so thank you, Chris. It was a fantastic scotch and a wonderful gift. Thank you very much. This is the Auchentoshan 12-year-old, distilled in 2001. It is the spring distillation in the Provenance series, which means bottled at 46% ABV. The Provenance series, the McGibbon's Provenance series, is obviously part of the Douglas Laing company. The other one is this one, which I also received as a gift from Douglas Laing, the Auchentoshan Old Particular. Now, the Old Particular is a new series of single cask bottlings. Well, basically this replaces the Old Malt Cask series, because as you know, Fred and Stuart Laing, the brothers who owned the Douglas Laing and Company whiskey firm, decided to go their separate ways. Now, it was Stuart Laing who went on to form the Hunter Laing Whiskey Company. He kept the Old Malt Cask brand. So that meant that Fred, with his daughter Cara and his son-in-law Chris, had to come up with a new series to be the follow-up to the ever-popular Old Malt Cask, and that's this one, the Old Particular. Now, I've tried quite a few, and bar a soapy Bowmore, all of them are quite excellent. I remember a fantastic Glengarry, I remember a sumptuous Glen Scotia, I remember, oh, the Port Ellen. Oh, Port Ellen was amazing. So these Old Particular bottlings, except that one that I just mentioned, all of them are quite excellent. And so imagine my happiness when I found out that when this new bespoke whiskey series was launched, that among the first releases was this Auchentoshan 15-year-old distilled in 1997. It's a single hogshead, and it was bottled in August this year. So both quite different. The Provenance, Old Particular, both bottled at a rather modest strength, in this case 46% ABV, in this case 48.4% ABV. Both are teenagers, 12 years, 15 years, yet they are bottled both by Douglas Laing, or at least a subsidiary thereof, but they are quite different in style, as we are about to find out. Let's put them head to head. Let's start with the nose of the Provenance bottling. The bottling from Provenance is quite pale, actually. Quite pale indeed. I would say white wine in colour. Well, this is a classic Auchentoshan nose. This is the Auchentoshan nose that I fell in love with so many years ago. The aperitif style Auchentoshan, the delicate feminine Auchentoshan. It's very close to the grain. It's grainy, it's got citrus in there, it's got hay and grassy elements in there. It's a bit spicier though than your average Auchentoshan, I have to say. But the cut grass that is so typical for Auchentoshan shines through immediately. Reminds me a bit of lemon cake, actually. Now let's see the Auchentoshan 15-year-old Old Particular, 48.4% ABV, and here it is a bright golden colour. It's a bit darker than the Provenance bottling. This, by the way, was from a refill hogshead. This was, I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. Oh, refill hogshead as well. Charged from a refill hogshead. So both are from refill hogsheads. On the nose. Well, this is not your classic Auchentoshan. This is the Auchentoshan with a little extra. It's got a little zing to it. Oh sure, the grain is there, the lemongrass is there, the citrusy fruits are there. But there's a candied element in here. And it's mildly floral as well. I get some heather and wild flowers. Quite nice actually. Quite fresh as well, with a touch of vanilla. And it's a bit punchy in fact. Well, this is good. This is very good. Well, it's not a boxing match, but if it were, round one would be for the Old Particular. But they're very close though. Well, yes and no. They're both very good, but the Provenance is very classic Auchentoshan. The Old Particular is not. Is the Auchentoshan with a bit extra, with a bit of makeup. You know what I mean? On the palate, the Provenance. A bit punchy, loads of barley, sugared barley, very close to the grain. I even get some, it reminds me a bit of the new make in fact, which by the way is fantastic. I've been telling the people at Auchentoshan they really need to bottle their new make, turn it down to 50%, get it out there, because it is a very clean, very sweet and very quaffable new make. And this is rather close to that new make, despite the 12 years in the refill hogshead. Citrusy, the cut grass again, very punchy, despite the rather modest ABV. A bit of spices in there as well. A bit of white pepper, ginger, just a touch of oak. Quite nice, quite aperitif style whiskey. Very classic Auchentoshan. The Old Particular. Yes. A lot softer, despite the fact that it's only 3 years older. It matured for 3 more years. Maybe it was the cask that was different, but this is definitely, well, it's a little nervous. It dances on your tongue. It's very playful, very punchy as well. 48.4% ABV. Spicy, but I get some white pepper, some citrus. Well, it's joined by toffee apples. I get some green banana. It's quite fruity with a soft touch of oak. This is clearly, this is definitely, I'm quite sure about that. It doesn't say so on the box or on the label, but I'm quite certain that this is in fact a bourbon cask. While this one, I'm not really sure. Let me try that again. I believe this might be a sherry, refill sherry hogshead. The finish on this one is medium long and a bit spicy on cloves and maybe some cinnamon in there, but the fact that it leaves the mouth rather dry makes me suspect that this might in fact be a refill sherry hogshead, although of course I cannot be 100% sure. The finish on this one, well, it's the perfect continuation of what we had on the palate. Again, quite punchy, quite spicy. It's not as feminine or as delicate as you would expect from Auchentoshan. This one is ready for battle. You know, this one is, ooh, I quite like it. It dances on the palate. It lingers very long on the palate afterwards. So it's quite a long finish. And for Auchentoshan, this is quite powerful. And I have to admit, While I do like my aperitif style Auchentoshan, because aperitif is my favourite whiskey moment, this is the classic Auchentoshan style whiskey. Love it. But this, let's be honest, this is something else. This is something zingy. I don't know. I feel like this belongs in a musical or something. It's a bit crazy. It's a bit, I don't know what it is, but I know that I love it. This one is absolutely, this one is wonderful. I love this Old Particular, and it fits perfectly in all those other Old Particular releases from Douglas Laing, because they are all very, very special, and that is why I believe this Auchentoshan is the winner of this little head-to-head, if indeed there are no losers in this case. When it's Auchentoshan, what's not to like? And that's it for this Whisky Rambling, and I hope to see you again at one of Mark's Whisky Ramblings real soon. Until then, may the malt be with you. Bye bye.